Hi, welcome everyone. My name is Shelly Saunders and I teach Spanish here at Stephenville High School. And this is a video to help students and parents understand what to expect and understand our price and everything for our upcoming trip to Japan in 2018. So I'm just going to take you through this presentation that you're seeing on the screen. We're going to walk through and hopefully answer all of the questions that you might have. But first of all, let me just tell you a little bit about myself. Like I said, my name is Shelly Saunders, and I'm a Spanish teacher here. I've been here for about 8 years, been teaching for 13. And this upcoming trip to Japan will be my 5th time to take students, high school students anyway, to a foreign country using the same company. So I've done this multiple times. I love doing it. It's the highlight of the year. I love seeing the kids' faces. We have so much fun, and so I would love it if you or your kiddo could join us this year. So I'm just going to take you through a lot of the questions I know that you guys already have through this presentation. Please feel free to email me, though, at the end if there's still some things that you're unsure about, or if you'd like to meet with me in person. I totally understand. We actually had a meeting at the end of the springtime where we met with all the parents in person. The kids were interested in going on the trip. So if you weren't able to make it to this one, this will serve as that kind of meeting. We're not going to be able to do a big group meeting this time, but hopefully I can answer all your questions here. So let's just kind of go through these things, and you're going to see on your screen here some different slides. Basic details. So we're traveling to Japan. Our departure date is scheduled for May 30th. And yes, that is pretty early, but we actually get out of school pretty early this year. So that's, I think, 5 days after graduation. I believe graduation's May 25th this year, so it'll be plenty of time. Shouldn't interfere with anything. It's a 9-day trip, and so we will return, the end of the first week in June. Now, this date can fluctuate anywhere from 1 to 3 days forward and back, and so you need to have that kind of cushion around and make sure you don't plan anything really important that you might miss just in case. We usually hit our date that we request pretty much on the nose, but they do kind of give us that caveat to let us know we have to have flexibility just because they'll wait to book the tickets until around March. So just depending on cost and availability, if something's not available for the exact date we request, then it might be moved slightly. So be prepared for that. So in this video, I'm going to talk about travel. I'm going to talk about my experience. I'm going to talk about the company that I use to do these trips. We're obviously going to talk about price, how to pay, when to pay, and what is included and what is not, obviously. And then and how you can go ahead and register if you are interested and willing to go on the trip. So first of all, I am very passionate about travel myself. I have been to maybe, I don't know, 15 countries and spent a total of 8 or 9 months studying and living abroad. I speak Spanish, I speak Portuguese, neither of which will help on this trip. But I have been very fortunate to be able to have these experiences, and so that's one of the reasons that I really love to take these kids and see their expressions and their reactions and really get that true understanding that they, how big the world is and how small we really are in it. And I think it's so much fun. So like I said before, this is my 5th tour with students. I've done 3 European trips and then 1 to Costa Rica, which you'll see some photos here coming up. So I do have a lot of experiences. I have experienced the awesome parts, and I have experienced the bumpy, delayed flights, all kinds of things. So I'm feeling more and more confident every time we do one of these trips that anything that happens, we're going to work it out. And so hopefully that reassures you as a parent a little bit, just knowing that I've been through a lot of these situations and it's not my first time. So, and I'll talk to you a little bit too about some of those little obstacles that we have overcome in our traveling. But so I've done this several times and hope to continue to do it throughout the rest of my career. So let's kind of move on. On our actual tour, you see an itinerary here. I am not well versed in Asian culture. We chose this tour because it was, I believe, the most highly rated tour of the dozens that this company offers. And I loved, last year we did Germany, Switzerland, and Italy, and that was my favorite one that we've done so far. And this trip is actually rated higher than that one. I can't even imagine. So I just thought, hey, why not? We'll try it. And so many kids have shown interest, and I'm really excited because everybody seems to be really pumped up about it. This tour should offer a really nice kind of eclectic mix between country and city. You know, as you can see here in front, we're going to spend a few days in Tokyo, so that'll be, you know, a crazy city life, super busy. Japan is known obviously for their technology. We're going to a sumo wrestling demonstration, so I'm pumped about that. Hopefully they'll pull some of the kids on stage. And so we'll spend a few days in Tokyo, but then we kind of get to wander out into the beauty of Japan. And that's what I hear from multiple people that have traveled, is that is kind of one of the surprises how beautiful the country is. So we'll and see the tranquility of the countryside, go to Mount Fuji and take a lake cruise across the this lake, which I've looked up and seems really beautiful. So I'm just really excited to try some new things, some new foods, and kind of branch out further than what I've done before. So some of the kids I know know even more than I do, and so you can have them look things up for you if you'd like to. Here I have a few photos. This is I took a group of 34 students 2 years ago to London, Paris, Rome, and Florence, and that's us in front of the Buckingham Palace in England. This is some of the students I took to Costa Rica. We visited a little school here in the countryside and talked to the Costa Rican kids. And this is last year on the top of Mount Pilatus in Switzerland. And we took a funicular up there. And so that's them kind of on the edge of this cliff right there. So you can see that we have a lot of fun. Our groups vary drastically in size. And after this year here, as you can see, the huge group that I took, I've decided to limit my future groups to 25, just because it's easier for me to coordinate. Honestly, you know, so you can know kind of what I get out of it. I mean, I get a free trip, but it's also not very free because I'm working the whole time. I'm still, I'm taking care of all these kiddos. I'm doing room checks at midnight and making sure everybody gets up in the morning. And so it's so much fun for me, but it is a lot of work. And so that's my reasoning just for limiting the group size. So there is in saying that, there is a limited amount of spots that are available for this trip. And so as you can see, you'll see it at the end, but we have 7 places left, and it's basically first come, first serve. Whoever signs up for them first, they get to reserve the spot. So I'm not trying to cause a panic, but I am trying to let you know it is limited, and we usually fill it up. Moving on. So students that get the opportunity to travel with us. Now, this is a kind of a special trip because it is an honors trip. The students have to be recommended by teachers in order to travel with us. And the reasoning behind that is I need to be able to trust your kiddo in a foreign country. I need to be able to know that they're not going to wander off. I need to be able to feel comfortable that they will, they can not get themselves into situations that they shouldn't be in. And if they don't show and demonstrate good character just sitting in a classroom, then I'm not taking them to a foreign country. So that's our reasoning, and it's really helped me avoid a lot of problems in the past. So we're going to stick with it. Some of your students, maybe your child, received an invitation letter last year. And if they did, then that's all they have to show is proof that they were invited to go on this trip, which just means one of their teachers nominated them. But if they didn't receive a nomination, or if they weren't at the high school last year, there is still a way for them to be able to travel on this trip, and they will have to go and get 2 teacher recommendations. So there's a particular form that the teachers will need to fill out. I will link this into one of my remind emails pretty quickly, or remind messages right after I send this video out, so that they can get that as well. But students have to get the teacher recommendations in order to be able to travel with us. So you need to get going on those pretty quickly. But because of that, because of the way that we do things, it is it is something now that you can put on a college application. It's something that you could use on a college essay or a scholarship essay, and basically talk about the privilege it was in order to be nominated to go on an honors trip in this regard, but then also obviously share your personal experiences traveling with our group. So as far as the company goes, I just kind of picked this company. There's several student travel companies out there, but I just picked this one just in my naivety, and has worked out really well. It's, I think, the largest student educational travel group out there, but I like them because they have the most resources, and my tour consultant that I work with on a regular basis has been the same person for 9 years. So I have just had a great experience, and I'm sticking with it until something goes wrong. But what I like about them is, as you can see with this upcoming map here, is they have offices all over the world. We've seen them just walking down the street in London or Florence or wherever, and they have offices everywhere, which means if there's some sort of an emergency, there's somebody that we can call in every city that we travel to. So I really feel good about that. Also with EF Tours, they offer high school credit, and there's also potential for college credit. This is done on an individual basis, and they'll have to sign up through the website, but you can go on the website and check that out. But so they can actually get college credit or high school credit for taking this trip. So you need to go check that out. I don't have time to go into great detail on that right now, but it is available to you there. So EF Tours, offerings that they have. So they provide for us a tour director. So this person meets us at the airport when we land. They stay in every hotel. They go to every activity with us, every restaurant. Every time that we're together as a group, this person is with us. They speak the languages of the country that we travel to, in this case Japanese, and they will serve as our interpreter as well. So this is the expert in the country, in the local areas that we're into. This is the person that I go to when I have a question, or hey, can we add this thing? Is there a possibility that we could push dinner back, and so we can get an opportunity to hang out at this museum a little bit longer or whatever? And they're the person that deals with all that. So luckily I don't have to, and it's not all in my hands. We've had some few minor emergencies before, and this is the person I call. I had a kid run and fall down and bust his knee open outside of Rome in the middle of nowhere at midnight, and I go banging on the tour director's door, and we took care of it. So they're the ones that are really the go-to person that help us. You'll be able to contact them at any time during the tour, contact me, and then of course you'll still be able to most likely contact your kiddo, just depending on what cell phone service they get. We can talk about that later. So because of these group tours, the price is a lot lower than you would pay individually, and there is an option for insurance. So if you select this, and it's totally up to you. I'd say 80% of my students do get the insurance. Maybe that's a little bit lower now, but it's completely up to you. I don't get any kind of benefit whether you get it or whether you don't. But as you can see here on the screen, it covers tour cancellation, interruption. Like last year, our flight was delayed out of DFW due to a storm in DFW, and so we left really late, and we ended up we flew to Canada, which was scheduled. We were supposed to leave from Toronto and fly out to Germany, and we got stuck in Canada because our flight was delayed out of DFW, causing us to stay the night in Toronto. But those that had the insurance plan could call back and got like a $300 refund or something like that just for losing that one day on tour, even though we still had fun and explored Toronto a little bit. But that is kind of one of the things that I've had students use it for in the past. Some kind of illness or accident. And just know too, I did have to take that student to the hospital. He was in an ambulance and everything, but they didn't charge us a dime. So, European and also in Japan, as far as I have heard, is kind of the same way. It's not going to be that sort of outrageous, here's $10,000 cost, for some kind of unexpected accident. But That's just something to maybe do a little bit of research on and take in consideration before purchasing this. Lost baggage and property can also be replaced.